Welcome to your teachers. This is the English and Maths program for Key Stage 3, Higher 1. This is Autumn 1, Week 4. Let's start off with a times tables test. Now we've got 1 to 16 here. If you've got a timer, grab it and put it on and let's see how long it takes you to do these times tables. Work through them carefully, and if you need to do some working out on the side, do it. If you need to use your fingers, and you shouldn't be using your fingers, but if you need to, go for it as well. And then press pause when you're done, because the next clip is going to show you the answers. So here are the answers. Press pause if you don't want to see them. And if you're ready to start marking, press pause again, take a glance and take your marking pens. It's always good to take out your marking pens. Mark the ones that are correct. The ones that are not correct, go back and do them again. Yes, you need to go back and do them again, because this is how we learn from our mistakes. And I know as teachers are going on about it all the time, but you need to do this. If you don't learn from your mistake, if you don't allow yourself to go through that process, you will not remember for next time. So hardship is a good thing. Let's take out those English books. We're now doing English. You need to write the date on the right hand side, and you know for English we write the long date in. So the day, the date, the month, right? Make sure you know your spellings and you're spelling them correctly, underline. And let's write down the title. And what are we doing today? We are doing creative writing using speech marks. Now I've got a picture here. It's quite an interesting picture. It's a picture of yes, you've guessed it, a squirrel. Some people love them, some people hate them. I'm a little bit in between because I think they look absolutely adorable. But then my mum does say they keep stealing her bulbs so her flowers don't get a chance to grow. And here we have some birds. We always like seeing a couple of birds in the garden, don't we? Um, my dog Chewbacca does love chasing these squirrels. He never does catch them, but sometimes I wonder if they're playing a little game of chase. But what we're doing today with our creative writing is we're looking at how we can use speech marks. So you're going to be looking at what our little friends here are talking about. So imagine a conversation between the squirrel and the bird. I wonder what they're saying. Okay, so have a little think about it and let's think about what they could be saying. And I'm going to write a few words up in the speech bubbles, and you've got to scratch your heads here and use your imagination. So while I'm writing my ideas, and you could perhaps write down some of yours. And then I'm going to show you how to write them in a paragraph or with our sentences using our speech marks later. Hi, Longtail. Have you seen the dog? No, I haven't seen him yet. Why do you ask? Oh, we're playing hide and seek. That's a great game. Ha ha ha. Now here I have written out the creative writing using speech marks. Hi, Longtail. Have you seen the dog? Asked Mr. Squirrel. Next line. No, I haven't seen him yet. Why do you ask? Quizzed Longtail. Next line. We are playing hide and seek. Next line. That's a great game, laughed Longtail. Now, because we're using another line, a new line, a new line, a new line, we can tell that a new speaker is speaking, okay? So don't forget your speech marks. Don't forget to start on a new line. Do not forget your punctuation and make sure you're being creative. And now it's your turn. Now, if sunflowers could talk. Now, this is your challenge. I've got a picture here of a few sunflowers and they're having a conversation. Now, you've got to draw this into your books and you've got to now add in the detail. Imagine the two sunflowers are in the garden. Maybe it is a hot summer's day or maybe it's a cold, windy day. What do you think the conversation would be about? If you haven't finished the first task, you can press pause before we go into the next. Now, Use your creative skills to write a conversation between the two flowers. Remember, you must include inverted commas. So we know these as speech marks or 66 and 99 because that's what they look like. And we need to start a new line every time a flower speaks. There are only two, remember. Now, that does not mean there are only two lines, but there are only the two sunflowers that are speaking. So they're going to have a good old natter, a good old conversation. So make sure you use your imagination and make it interesting. Otherwise, the reader's going to fall asleep. You will have more to practice in your pack if you are doing the course with us. So if you've got more to do in your pack, take your time and make sure you are watching out for your handwriting, your punctuation, your capital letters look like capital letters, and you should be writing join up handwriting if you can by now. Time for maths. Let's take out our math books, and if you don't have a math book, take out your paper, grab your stationery kit, your pencil cases. Let's write down the title maths, the short date for today on your right hand side, and then get ready to write your titles and subtitles. Write it neatly, making sure that you're spreading your word out. Our new vocabulary for today is base 10 numbers. Now, base 10 numbers are a set of numbers where we use the digits 0 to 9. And if you notice, I haven't put 0 to 10 because to make 10, I need a 1 and I need a 0, and that is already in 0 to 9. So we also can form, from 10, we can form 100, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, etc. because we're always multiplying up by 10. So if you notice, there's always a 1 at the beginning, and then there's so many zeros at the end, depending on what number we're looking at. Make sure you have this written down. Press pause if you need to, so you can write this down at your own pace, but try and hurry. So the decimal numbers are numbers that are below 0. So a decimal number means, a decimal fraction means, that these are the terms that you're going to come across, decimal numbers, decimal fractions, they mean they are part of a whole. Now we know what a fraction is because, for example, if I had one of my chocolate cakes, yes, my gâteau, if we had a chocolate cake, that one whole piece of chocolate cake is a whole number. It could be 1 cake, 2 cakes, 3 cakes, 4 cakes, 5 cakes. But if I was to have eaten half of it, then I've got half left. I no longer have a whole cake. So I can't write 1 half without turning it into a fraction. Okay, so this is another way of writing a fraction. We can also write them as decimals. Okay, so fractions and decimals have this in common. They are numbers to show that they are less than one whole. So let's have a look at this example that you should be jotting down. Remember, spread them out, misline if you need to, use a ruler. We need to practice how to use a ruler. In the columns here, in the ones column, below the 1, I have got number 5. Then we've got the decimal point. Now this shows that every number below this or after this decimal point is less than 1, is below 1. Then, after that decimal point, I've got a column called the tenths. Now this is where the fractions start coming in. So this is 6. So this 6 equals 6 over 10, or 6/10, which is less than half. If you ever see 6/10 written like this, it looks like a 6/10, but that is sometimes we see this and it means 6 over 10. And I'm going to write that down for you here so you can see what it looks like. 6 over 10. And here are some examples we're going to be looking at. So let's have a look at the numbers 2. Now 2 has a decimal point at the end of it, but we don't need to see this because 2 is a whole number. So it can be written as 2.0. Okay, But we don't write numbers like that. Let's have a look at number 4. Number 4 we can also write as this, 4.0. But there's no point attaching a 0.0 to it because there is no number there. It's just 0. So we leave it. So we leave it as just 4. Now, if we had 2.5 chocolate cakes, because you do know I like chocolate cakes. If we had 2.5 chocolate cakes, we could write this as 2.5 because now we know we have half. So here's my chocolate cake, and you know that if I was to have eaten my chocolate cake, half of it, I wouldn't dare dream of such a thing. But if I was to eat this chocolate cake and only eat half of it, then it's no longer a whole, is it? Here's my whole cake, and there's my half cake. So here's my one whole cake. So there's no need for a decimal point at the end. And over here, because I'm eating half, which we know is 0.5, that's why we know we need to use a decimal point. So what do we know right now? We know that every number has a decimal. We just don't need to use it. We just do not need to use it, not unless we know there is a number to put in after it. Okay, so here we go. 2 can be written as 2.0, but we don't bother. We don't bother because it's just left with a 0. If we are going to show a decimal point, a number instead of 0, then yes, we will use it. So 0.5, we needed to show this, so that's why we use the point. Here, there was 2.5 parts of a cake, so yes, we needed to use the 5. We have a title, decimals, converting decimals to fractions, and this is our little example here. 0.12 equals 12 over 100. Now let's see how we do this. Decimals, converting decimals to fractions. Now we convert decimals to fractions by counting how many places are after the decimal point. So this is the number of zeros in the denominator. We just need to add a 1 in front of them. So let's have a look here. We have got the number 0.56. So that's 2 places after the decimal point. So we write 56 is the numerator, and the 2 places after the decimal point. So we start off with a 1, and those 2 places represent 0, 0. You're going to have lots to practice with in your packs if you're doing the course with us. So pay attention, write down these notes, make sure your work is nicely spread out so that you can go over them again. Press pause if you need some more time to write these down. Let's take 3 of these examples to practice with. We have the number 0.56. Now I want to convert this to a fraction, so this is what I do. You're going to love these little tricks of mine. Count how many places there are after the decimal point. Now there are 1, 2 places. So you get your fraction ready. Okay, you get your fraction ready. And here we go, because we're looking for a fraction. And we know that a fraction is part of a whole. So here I've got 1 place and 2 place. Because I've got 2 places, I'm going to make sure I've got 2 places here. 1 place, 2 place. And look, they've got a space here for one digit here. All right. So we've got three digits, a 0, a 5 and a 6. So this is the 5 and the 6. So there's two places for the 5 and the 6. And that 0, I'm going to change that to a 1. Okay. And that 5 and 6, well, I'm going to replace them for zeros. There we go. Now, see this 5 and 6? I'm going to move them here. So now 5 and 6 goes on the top. So it looks like 5, 6 over 100. Let's try this one. Okay. How many digits do I have in total? 1, 2, 3. So I get my fraction ready. Get my fraction ready. And now I'm going to get ready to write my digits in. So the 10 goes at the top. You can do it this way if you like. 10 goes at the top. There we go. And how many digits did I say I had space for? 1, 2, 3. Well, that's going to be a 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now remember, the bottom, the denominator is always going to have, a 0. This is the easiest way to remember this. Have a 0 on the end. So it's either going to be things like a 10, 100, you can have 1,000, but it depends on how many digits, how many spaces you've got. This one had space for 3 digits. 1, 2, 3 digits. So that means you can't use 1,000 because that's 1, 2, 3, 4 digits. We could have only have used 100 because this has got 1, 2, 3 digits. Let's have a look at the next one. So I've got the number 0.321. How am I going to change this to a fraction? So let's get my fraction ready. I need a denominator for the bottom. What am I going to use? Let's count how many digits I have. 1, 2, 3, 4. So am I going to use a 10? No, I can't because that's only got 2 digits. Am I going to use 100? No, because this has got 1, 2, 3 digits. So I can't use that. How many am I looking for? Can you please remind me? 1, 2, 3, 4 digits. 1, 2, 3, 4 digits. Aha! I'm going to use 1,000. So let's put in the 1,000. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, after this decimal point, how many digits do I have? These 3 numbers. Okay, so after the decimal point, I'm going to shift them over here. 3, 2, 1, and that's my fraction. So let's see if you can practice a few of these at home. I'm going to put some here for you to practice with. Try converting these. Convert these to fractions. Please make sure you're writing all this down. Press pause where you need to. Number 1, let's do 0.12. Number 2, try 0.32. Number 4, let's do 0.315. And number, this is actually number 4. This is 3, isn't it? Oops, daisy. Let's do 0.1015. Let's see how you get on with them. Remember, press pause, give yourself enough time, and enjoy. I'm sure you'll get them right. I'm about to reveal the answers to you, so please press pause if you don't want to see them. Turn around, cover your eyes, do something. But I would press pause if you haven't finished them already. And make sure you mark them. If you get them wrong, figure out what you've done wrong. Go back, rewind, watch it again, watch the notes, and see if you can have another bash. Decimals, converting fractions to decimals. So now you can see an example here that you will be writing in your books or on your paper, your notes. 15 over 100, which also equals to and is the same as 0.15. Let's have a look at how we do this. Now we're looking at converting fractions to decimals. And yes, this is just as simple. Remember, the beauty of this video is at any time you just need to press that pause button, you rewind and you have another look, you rewind, you have another look. That's okay. Sometimes it does take us a little while to understand what is happening. Now, sometimes it's not all sailing, it's not all easy. Sometimes we need to make a little bit of an adjustment to be able to get what we need. Now we know that we need a base 10 family to make our lives easier to convert a fraction to a decimal or decimal to a fraction. These base numbers, 10, 100, 1000, will make your life so much easier. So we need to work out how many times we need to multiply our denominator to get the base 10 number. I'm going to give you an example at the bottom here. So at this point, what you should be doing is writing this up in your maths book, and I'm going to show you an example of a fraction that needs to be converted or changed so that we can change it or convert it to a decimal. Let's have a look. Now this fraction, 1/5, does not have a baseline number at the bottom, does it? It doesn't have a 10, 100, 1,000, a million at the bottom. So we've got to figure this one out. We've got to do something to this to make our lives a little bit easy, because who wants an easy life? We all do, right? So look, let's do it. I know if I multiply this one by 2, remember what we do to the denominator, we have to do to the numerator, okay? We've got to treat them equally. So 5 times 2 and 1 times 2. So this is going to give me my new fraction, 1 over 10. Sorry, it's going to give me 2 over 10. Let's change that, 2 over 10. 1 times 2 is 2. So now my life is going to be a little bit more easier, because I can now convert this, because I've got 2 digits, I can now convert this to my decimal. Okay, so let's do another one. Let's try 3. Let's do 3/4. And to do this one, it's a little bit more challenging. I have to multiply this by something to give it either a 10. Can I turn that into a 10? No. Can I change it to 100? Can 100 be divided by 4? Yes, it will. I can change it by multiplying it by 25. So 4 times 25 will give me 100. What's 3 times 25? 75. And now I can try my converting here. So to convert this now, it's going to give me only 3 digits. Remember, I've got 75 anyway. 1, 2, 3, so my 0 goes here. Okay, so 0.75. Let's have a look at how we can now convert the fractions to decimals. So I'm going to look at a simple fraction, 3 over 10. And I need to convert this fraction now into a decimal. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to count how many digits there are. And this is our baseline, base number 10. So we've got 2 digits here. You can see there's 2 digits here, a 1 and a 0. 2 digits, space for 2, space for 2. All right. I'm going to shift this 3 over here. and I've only got the 1 0. So the 1 0 comes here because that's what's left over. Okay, so that's 0.3. Let's have a look at another. Let's do 12 over 100. Let's do the first step. Now the first step is to count how many digits I have. So let's put this down as steps. So step 1, count digits in base 10 number. Now earlier on we looked at our new vocab, and that was the base 10 numbers, and this is a base 10 number because look, it starts off as 10, multiply it by 10 again, and it gives us 100. So this is our base 10. Any number with a 1 and followed by lots of zeros. This one has got 2 zeros. So what do we do next, folks? We are going to get our decimal point ready, and we're going to count how many digit spaces we've got. 1, 2, we've got enough here for 3 digits. So that's 1, space for 1, space for the second, space for the third. So let's move this number 12 here. Wow, look at that, space for 2 there. So 1 and 2 go here. And what do I have left? I've got 1 space here for a 0. So let's put that 0 in. We're now going to look at what's going on. Let's have a closer look. This here was base 10. Base 10 has got 2 digits. When I converted this to a decimal, my decimal number has also got 2 digits. 1, 2. Now this part's really important, okay? Let's have a look at the second fraction that we've just converted. Now, the base 10 number here is 100. And this 100 has got 1, 2, 3 digits. Let's have a look at the decimal. 1, 2, 3. It had enough for 3. So, the number at the top here went after the decimal point. So let's put that down as step 2. Step 2, the numerator sits after the decimal point. And you've got to make sure that you're counting how many digits there are in the base 10 in the denominator to make sure you have given enough digits when writing out your decimals. I'm going to give you a few to practice with. Let's see how you get on. Now it's turn for you to try. So 310, I'm going to do the first 3 for you and see how you get on, and then you do the rest, okay? So we've got 3/10, and now we've got to convert this to a decimal. So I'm going to count how many digits I have in the base 10 number, which is 2. So I've got room for only 2 digits. So 0.3 is this answer. Let's have a look at question 2. Question 2, I've got 2 numbers here for, this is another way you can do it. Look, I want to write my 17 first. Okay. And I've got room for 3 digits. 1, 2, and 3 digits. I want to put my decimal point here. Let's do it this way. So here's my next one, 42. So I can write 42. And then I've got room for how many digits? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 digits. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the decimal point after the first. Here we go. All right. Have a look at these notes. I'm going to draw a line underneath mine. So here are the answers. Press pause if you don't want to see them. And have a look at how you've done. Have you got them all correct? If you haven't got them all correct, do not worry, that's great news. Yes, it's good if you make mistakes, because remember, this is a trial. We are rehearsing here. It's not the real thing. So you want to make your mistakes today, right now with me. You make your mistakes, you go back and have another look and see what's going on. Then you have another go. Okay, you can rewind, press pause and have another go. But before you move on today, you want to make sure that you understand how to do it. And I know you will. You've just got to give yourself a chance. Let me throw some practice questions to you. I have 6 questions here now. The last one is a challenging one. I want to see if you can try and figure out what to do. Let me give you a tip. You have to divide bus stop method, and your bus stop method has to give you a decimal point answer. We will go over this. Now press pause so that you've got enough time to do the questions. When you're ready, then press play, because we will go over the answers. You can now look. Here are the answers. Go over them. Mark them. If they are incorrect, use your highlighter and highlight the ones that are wrong. Then have another go. Pay particular attention to question 6. I have given an explanation there, a demo on how to do it. And in a moment, I'm going to show you some more examples, so do not fear. Now, what do we do if we have no base 10 fractions? That's a dilemma, isn't it? So what do we do now? Now, we know 2/8 is the same as not 8 divided by 2, because that will give me a whole number. So it's not that. It's 2 divided by 8. But that's impossible, you say. I know it's impossible, because look, I've got 2 sweets, or 2 of my chocolates. I can't share my chocolates cakes with anyone, can I? No. And if I do, I've got to divide my cakes before I can start dishing them out. Okay, and remember, these parts are fractions, so the answer in here is going to be a decimal point answer, and that's what we're looking for. So let's see what we can do to help ourselves. So to do this, I need to do a bus stop method. So this is where you've got to concentrate. Remember, start making notes, grab your paper, write down what you need to. If you need to press pause, then go for it, and press play when you're ready. So I'm going to do the bus stop method. We should know how to do the bus stop method by now. Here's my 2. And I'm going to divide 2 by 8. So how many 8s are there in 2? Here are my 2. How many 8s are there? I can't make any sets of 8, can I? No. So the answer is 0. Now I'm going to decimal mode. So I'm going to put my 0 here. I'm going to cross that off, because I've used 2. There's nothing I can do with it. I'm going to shift that over here. So how many 8s are there in 20? Well, 8, 16, 24. So my closest one is this one here, 2 times 8. So I'm going to put down 2 here. What do I have left over? 4, because I actually wanted 20, right? But 2 times 8 gives me 16. So I've got 4 left over. So what I do now is I write 4 and I give it a 0. Okay, so now I'm looking at 40. How many 8s are there in 40? well, if you carried on writing out your times tables, so 32, then it's, yes, 40. So this is 5 times 8. And here the answer is 5. So look at my answer. I've just done my decimal point, my division here, and I've got the answer 0.25. And guess what? We were looking for a decimal answer, right? And that is it. 0.25. Get ready. I'm going to give you some more to practice with. Let's try 3/7. So remember, we're not going to do 7 divided by 3. We're going to do it the other way around. So we're going to have not 3 and 7. We're going to have 7 into 3 because we know this is impossible. If you ever get confused, if you do 7 divided by, you can either have 7 divided by 3 or you can have 3 divided by 7, and normally we always have the bigger number first, don't we? So this one is not it. So how many 3's are there in 7? There are none. If you want to, you can cross it out. We put the decimal point ready now because we're going into the fractions. Okay, so I'm going to put a 0 here and I'm going to move that 3 over here. So now I'm looking at 30. How many 7's are there in 30? So if you're stuck with your 7 times tables, 7, 14, 21, 28. What's next? 35. Okay, I've gone past 30. I actually want 30. So the closest one I have is this. So 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the 4 times table. So that's 4. 4 times 7 we know is 28, so there was 2 left over. I'm going to put 0 there with my remainder. So how many 7's are there in 20? Well, the closest one here is 21, but that's too big, so I'm going to go for 14. And 14 is 2 times table. And I've got 6 left over, so I can put the 6 here and the 0 here, and then I can carry on. Okay, now eventually you can stop because these numbers will go on forever. So what I can do is stick to 2 decimal points and write down my answer as 0.42. So my answer here for now is going to be 0.42. And if you want to carry on, you can. And there's a little special thing that we call 2 decimal places, and that's what we've done here. We've stopped at 2 decimal places. Okay, so this is our answer. Now you can use this to now carry on to work out the others. Remember, press pause, give yourself enough time, and once you start marking your work, then you can revisit the ones that you got wrong. So here are some answers for you to look through. If there are anything that you don't understand, remember, press pause and look at it again. Now, homework. If you've got your pack and you're doing the course with us, make sure you mark your own work, use a highlighter to find your mistakes, and repeat your incorrect questions. Make sure you understand what went wrong. This is the biggest thing. So you go back, use your notes, repeat watching any clips or parts of the video so you know exactly what's going on. Take photos and send us your feedback or your examples of work because we are always looking forward to seeing examples of any work. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and stay in touch. Bye.